Hi, this is Linda from Back to the Beach Software, and I want to show you today how you can use the shapes up here in the Draw tab to make rollover buttons for your website. In order to use the shapes, you have to change them into bitmap graphics. If you have not seen the webinar on the basics of graphics, this is a good time for you to listen to that webinar so that you understand some of the terminology that I'm using. But basically, in order to use those shapes to make rollover buttons, you have to make a change to them. And that change is to change them from a vector shape into a bitmap graphic. And from now on, I'm just going to refer to it as a graphic. In order to make a rollover button, you need either one graphic or you need three graphics. If you're going to use one graphic, you actually use the Rollover Button Studio. Let me pull one out now so you can see what that looks like. When you pull a button out of the Buttons gallery, it opens the Rollover Button Studio, and you can make changes to color and darkness, lightness, luminosity, different things. You can actually make any button into a rollover button. If you're going to make a graphic rollover button, and that's this command up here in the Create tab, then you need three separate graphics to make the graphic rollover. So let's start. I'm going to show you a couple of different buttons that I've made, a couple of different navigation panels. And before we go there, I'm going to apologize in advance to the colors that I used. They may not be the colors you want to use on your website, but I chose them because they're very vivid and they'll show up really well in this webinar. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this navigation panel. This was created using the shapes in the Draw tab. The one here on the side is a series of the same shape, this turned into a graphic. And up here on the top is a navigation panel where the ends are curved. So let's start. I'm going to build this for you step by step so you can see how I did it. I'm going to start in the Draw tab, get a rectangle. Take the color and fill it with this light blue. I'm going to go get another one. And this one I want to fill with a graduated fill. It's going to be vertical. The starting color is going to be this dark blue. The ending color is going to be the light blue. I want you to see what happens when I resize this rectangle. As I resize it, the graduated fill goes evenly across the rectangle. I can make it longer, or I can make it wider. On my navigation panel, I only want the edges to look like they're curved under. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the graduated fill shape and make it smaller. Then I'm going to take the solid fill shape and put it next to it, or just a little overlapped. I'm going to click on the background and drag a rectangle that touches both the shapes, go to the Create tab, and click Merge. The two shapes are now merged. And not only are they merged, but they've been turned from shapes into graphics. The shortcut to turn any shape into a graphic is to either make two different ones or duplicate the same one, select them both, and merge them. That changes the shape into a graphic. When shapes are turned into graphics, sometimes there's a little shift, and there's one pixel border of white that shows. Because bitmap graphics are made up of little squares and little pixels, we want to keep a rectangle shape, and I can make it larger like I did, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to hold down the C key for cropping, and I'm going to crop it so that it looks the way I want it to look. And then I'm going to take this and shorten it a little, and when I shorten it, it's actually going to shorten the trim at the edge where the graphic turns into a grade and looks like it curves underneath. I like the way that looks at the end, but I still want it to be longer. So I'm going to go grab another shape. So I can make it longer. I'm going to merge them and crop them. I like that. It's a little long, so I'll crop it one more time. Now I want you to notice if I try to go to the Draw tab and change the color, nothing happens because this is no longer a shape, it's a graphic. What I can do if I want to is go to the Create tab and go to the Change Colors command, and that's something you can do with graphics. You can change the colors using this command. I'm going to not use that right now, and I'm going to hold down the Control key, make a copy of this, go to Special Effects, and reverse it. Now I have one facing that way and one facing that way. In the middle of my navigation panel, everything is on just a solid blue color. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, click and drag a third one, and this time I'm going to crop it because I want it just to be solid blue. I can make it a little larger. And I have all the pieces that I need to make both of these panels. I do want to take these graphics and make them into buttons so that I can use the Rollover Button Studio and so that I can label the graphics and they'll look really clean. So I'm going to right-click over this, choose Copy. I want you to notice in the Buttons gallery if there's a little folder, you can double-click on it to open up that gallery. And then I'm going to right-click over any gray area and choose Paste. Right-click, copy, right-click, paste. One more time. Right-click, copy, right-click, paste. I'm going to put these down here, out of the way. Pull out the first one and label it Home. Since I'm working very large so that you can see it, I'm going to change this to a 14 font. Normally your buttons wouldn't really be that large. And I want this rollover to change color. When the mouse is over, I want it to kind of look like a purple. I'm going to leave the fonts flat, and when the mouse is clicked, I want it to be a little darker. So these are the three states. This is what the normal button looks like. This is what the button looks like when the mouse rolls over it. And this is what the button looks like when it clicks. I've chosen everything I want for this button, and I click OK. Let's go see what it looks like in the preview. There. Since I've already chosen the things that I want for this button, the easiest thing for me to do now is just make a bunch of copies. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. To get back into the Button Studio, I'm going to double-click and simply change the name. I don't have to change anything else because I already have everything I want. Great. Now I just line these up. Click on the background and drag to select all of them. Go to Page Layout, line them up on the left-hand side, and then space them vertically. And I have a panel. Now this one up here is a little different. I need to bring this one out, change the color. If I'm actually creating a website, I'm paying attention to these numbers in case I want to make another button with the same exact colors. That's the left one. Let's drag out the right one. Change the font. Change the color. Put it over here. Now I just need the plain one. I want this to look the same when the mouse is over, so I'm going to change that to purple. And I want it to darken when the mouse is pressed. Now I need one for testimonials and one for gallery. I'm going to put these up here. I'm going to select all of them, align the bottoms, space them horizontally, and there is my navigation panel. I'm going to get rid of this one, move this one up, and show you one other thing. When I'm actually building a website and someone is on a particular page, I do like the navigation panel to show what page the person is on. There's a couple of ways I can do it. I'm going to go to the Draw tab, pull out another shape, and I'm going to choose a little bit of a darker color. I'm going to hold the Control key, click right on that shape, but don't drag. If I drag, it doesn't matter. You can see that there's a shape underneath. And if I dragged it away, I can simply select it, align the tops and align the sides, then go to the Create tab and merge them to turn this into a graphic. I want this graphic to be the same size as the button, so I'll select a button first, hold the Shift key, and click the second graphic. Go to Page Layout, make them equal size. Now I'm going to right-click over this, copy it, and put it into the Button Studio. I'm going to drag it out, call it Services, and this time I'm just not going to have any rollover effects because this is really the page that the person is on. And then I'll come up here and make that Services. Now you can see that if I have a visitor on my page and they look at my navigation panel, visually they can see I'm on the Services page. Another way you can tell someone what page they're on is by moving the button. So I'm going to double-click on Gallery. I'm going to move the word Gallery up to the top of the button. Then I'm going to move the button up the navigation panel. And I'm going to grab one of these, get some blue, resize it, and send it to the back. Now if someone's on my page, it looks like this button went up in the air, and I can either have something that looks like this, or I can have something that looks like that. These are just a couple of ways you can visually help your customers see where they are. All right, let's get rid of this page, and let's just go now to looking how you can make just buttons, rollover buttons. Once again, I'm using very vivid colors so that you can see how this works. Let's go to the browser and see what happens when the mouse is over these buttons. The way that I made these buttons is I started with a draw shape. The fill color is gray. The border color is black. I made the border fairly wide. I want to have this be the same size. There we go. Then if you can see on these buttons, they have a little white line on the inside. So I'm going to get another rectangle. The border color is going to be white. I'll make it 2 pixels, and the fill color is transparent. Take it down, put it over this rectangle, that I've already made and position it so that it looks like it has a white inner rectangle on there. Now I'm going to select both of these, hold down the Control key and make a copy. And on this one, I'm going to change the border color. And this border color is going to be very pink. Now I'm going to select it and turn it into a graphic by merging. I'll do the same for this. Because I need 3 different graphics when I make graphic rollovers, I'm going to take this one and make a copy of it. These are the 3 graphics that I'm going to use. Hold down the Shift key, click them in the order of appearance, click Graphic Rollover, and now I have a button. Let's look at it in the browser. That's what it looks like. Now this button over here is kind of cool, and I'll show you how I made this one. Start in the Draw tab. I kept that color for the border, but the inside is going to be white. And I am going to make that border wider. I'm going to click on this and then click on this shape to make them equal size. I hold down the Shift key when I'm selecting more than one object. And then this one, I want to have a darker border, almost make it look like it's beveled. So I'm going to go back up to the Draw tab, take a shape, get rid of the border, and I'm going to make the fill color really dark. And I'm going to put it behind this shape. Now I'm going to select both of them just like they are. I don't have to worry about the size because I'm going to crop. Then I'm going to take this shape and I'm going to crop the entire top off just so that the light pink is showing. I'm going to do the same on the left-hand side, completely cropped. Now on the right-hand side, I'm going to crop it so that there's about 1 or 2 pixels showing here, and crop this so that there's 1 or 2 pixels showing there. Great. Now if I want to have a rollover effect and make 3 different graphics, I can do that. But right now I want you to see that I can click on this, go to Special Effects, and apply a shadow. And when I apply a shadow, it causes the white in the middle of the button to become transparent, and you can then see this really cool shadow around the whole thing. I'm going to copy this, put it in the Button Studio, bring it out, and label it Home. This works if you're dealing with a white background. And so you can play with some of these effects and see how you like them. Let's go to a third kind of button that you can make, and this is a navigation panel that I made from shapes, but I also used one of our background designs. If you go to the Backgrounds gallery, let's go over to this Untitled page here, and you choose any of these backgrounds, you can right-click over it, copy it, right-click, and paste it onto the page. That gives you a graphic that's 100 pixels by 100 pixels. You can then copy it, select everybody, align the tops, and space them horizontally to get what looks like a larger graphic. You can then select them all and merge them. And you can use these for designs on your website. That's how I created the panel on this one. I took this graphic, and I'm going to move a lot of this stuff out of the way for a minute because this page got very cluttered while I was working. And made several copies. This was a much larger graphic than the one I just showed you. Align the tops, space them horizontally, go to the Create tab and merge them. Now I'm going to click and crop, and I really only want one line here. As you can see in the navigation bar, there's only one line, and I'm going to Control click to get the second line. Get rid of that. You go to the Draw tab and get a shape, and I want it to be pure white, solid white. Then I'm going to come down here, resize it, send it to the back, and see if that's how big I want it. I think I want it a little larger. I'm going to click on the background, select all of them, align the left sides, click equal width so that they're all the same width, and I'm going right over to my Create tab and merging. Now if this is my navigation panel, there's a couple of ways that I can make the rollover buttons for it. I could actually take this navigation panel, duplicate it, crop it to the size of a button, and do something else. Maybe instead of having this color, I would like to come up to the Draw tab and get a shape and make it a light blue color. I can do that. I can merge them. Notice what happens. The white gets filled in because we're dealing with a bitmap, and so I'm going to hold the C key and crop that off. There's different variations that you can do. On the navigation panel at the top, I made individual buttons, individual rollovers. Let's go look at the browser and see what it looks like. When the mouse is over, the white button actually changes to a green button with a little trim on it. Now you don't have to do that. I'm just going to show you how you can do it if you want to. The way you do it is to start with this, crop it down, get a shape, I'm going to shift click so I can make these equal size. Then I'm going to get another shape. And this one I'm going to change so that the color is one of the colors in this trim. And then I'm going to go to the custom area and make it really pale. I'm going to do it that way. Merge it and crop it. All right, I like the way that looks. And I need another white shape. I want this to all be the same size. And now this has become a graphic because I merged it with something else. These two have not become graphics yet. And if I were to try to make a rollover button using all three of these, look at the message that I'll get. I'll get a box that says, in order to create a graphic, you need 3 objects on your page. I'm not going to be able to make it until I've turned these into graphics. I'm going to hold the Control key down and click, select both, and merge. Do the same thing again. Now I can make 3 in a row, hit the graphic rollover, and this time I get the graphic rollover studio, which is what I want. Then I take this and position it on my navigation bar. Go up to the browser and see that it looks like the others. I'm going to go back and move that because I was covering the service. That's why you like to check in preview all the time what you're making. Now, once again, when I have a website, I like my customers to be able to look at the navigation bar and see what they're looking at and know what page that they're on just by looking at that navigation bar. It's very obvious that if you were on my website right now, you would be looking and viewing the gallery page of my website. So let me show you how I made that. Go to the Draw tab, get a shape. It's white. Now I'm going to go to the Draw tab and get a rounded rectangle. And it's white, and I'm going to make its border this darker color. The border is going to have a 2-pixel width, and I'm going to make this shape the size that I want to have the button. That looks pretty good. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to merge them and crop them. That looks good. I need to make this into a button, so I'm going to right-click and copy, right-click and paste, drag it out, and label it Gallery. Now you can see what page you're on my website. And this can be resized, and when you resize it, you simply double-click to reposition the label. The last thing I want to show you is how to create a very clean look on a page using graduated fills. So let's close out of this one and turn on this one. Let's start by making the navigation bar. Go to the Draw tab, bring out a rectangle, and go to the graduated fill color. This time I want it to be a horizontal fill. I want the starting color to be this kind of dark peachy color, and I want the end to be this lighter color. I'm going to take off the border and make it long. I think this is too dark. I'm going to go back to this graduated fill, the starting color, and make it a little lighter. There, I like that better. Now I'm going to go do it again, only this time I'm going to do it with the fills opposite. This time the starting color will be the light one, and the ending color will be the dark one. If you watched the webinar on how to make menus, you saw me make one of these for the menus. Now I'm going to place one right next to the other, click, drag to select both of them, and I'm now turning it into a graphic by merging it. I'm going to make this a little more narrow. And now it's just a matter of taking this, making a copy, cropping it down, and I'm going to crop off the ends too because it's going to be a little easier to position it on that bar. Right-click, copy, right-click, paste, drag it out, and label it. Once you get the hang of it, you can see how incredibly easy this is. Now I can change the color if I'd like and do all the things that I want to do with rollovers and put this here. Now I see on this that there's a little white trim on that. Remember I told you that sometimes there's a shift? I'm going to go back here, crop off the end of this. I'm going to delete this button in here, and I'm going to copy and paste this one back in. Pull it out, call it home. And let's see if that works better. It does. See, I got rid of that little 1 pixel teeny tiny trim that is sometimes left when you merge things. I can make several copies of this, change the names, select them, position them. And it just looks seamless. It's a very clean look. You'll see it's a very popular look in today's design. Let's go to the browser and see what this looks like. There you go. Now once again, I want to make something that shows my customers what page they're viewing. And I made this little services button, once again, out of our shapes. So I'm going to take this shape, which we've already made. This is a graphic, and I'll make a duplicate. Then I'm going to go up to the Shapes command, get a rounded rectangle, make the border the darker pink color, make it about 2 pixels, and the fill color is going to be transparent. I'm going to merge them. And this is one look that you can have. You can actually have it look like the bar is coming through and you just have a trim around here. You would copy it, paste, and pull it out and label it. However, I like this look here. So what I'm going to do is get another rounded rectangle with the same color border, but this time on the fill color, I'm going to make it a solid pink. It's going to be a little lighter than some of the other colors, and I'm going to position it over this. Now the border is looking a little too dark for me on this particular design, so I'm going to reduce it. I like that better. Now I'm going to merge it, right-click copy, right-click paste. and pull it out. And that's how you would make it. Obviously, I didn't get that one in correctly. Let me right-click copy, right-click paste. When I'm working on a website and I'm making all these buttons, which I do a lot, I can sometimes forget where I put them. That's better. Let's pull you out, put you up. And these are just some of the ways that you can use the shapes in the Draw tab to make buttons and navigation bars. Remember that what you want is at least 2 shapes that are both selected. After they're selected, you go to the Create tab and you merge them, and that changes those vector shapes into bitmap graphics that then can be used for buttons and rollover buttons, and they can also be used for menus. You can watch our menu webinar to find out how to do all of that. Thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed it.